welcome to episode 5 of the Modi Diaries. Today we will be focusing on Kashmir and all that Prime Minister Modi has done over the last decade to bring about a sea change in the Union territory. It is undeniable that Kashmir has transformed, especially since the abrogation of Article 370. There has been a steep decline in terror incidents and stone pelting. In the economic sphere, a record rupees 1.18 lakh crores has been allocated in the interim budget this year. Tourism has boomed in the valley and infrastructural development has gained steam. Additionally, Kashmir has hosted delegates from 27 countries when the G20 tourism meet was held in May last year. Foreign investments have been ushered in, particularly from the UAE and Saudi Arabia. We asked whether all of this is testament to a rising Kashmir and what really is the role then that has been played by Narendra Modi in bringing about this change. I take this conversation forward. I have with me on the broadcast right now Major General Dhruv Katoch, Director of the India Foundation and Defence Expert. I also have with me Mr. Kuldeep Khoda, former IG of Jammu and Kashmir. Let me begin this conversation, if I can, with Mr. Khoda. Sir, I'd like to begin by understanding your perspective. You have served as a cop in Jammu and Kashmir in what were some extremely troubling times. When you look back at the past and you look at today, strictly from your perspective, how would you explain the difference?
You know, the situation in J&K has undergone a tremendous transformation, especially during last few years. That was mainly because of the holistic action taken by the government of India and executed very well by the ground forces, be it army, the police, be it the civilian departments, which was previously not contributing much. And the approach has been to take on the terrorism from its all directions, from all its sources, whether it's the infiltration, the military supplies, the training and launching of terrorists, the supply of funds, the development of ecosystem, the separatism, the fundamentalism, and the educational institutions, the overall atmosphere in the valley. Now, the feel-good factor is visible now in Kashmir. The safety and security element is now quite prevalent and palpable. It can be seen and felt by everybody on ground. The businesses are running round the clock. The business is booming. The new entrepreneurs are coming up. They're setting up their own startups. And the youth of the state, of the Union Territory are finding more and more opportunities of gaining employment, gaining self-employment, in fact, which is the best way towards the prosperity of the state. And then tourism figures have gone up, and that's visible, that's known to everybody. Now, after 3 decades of turmoil, everybody is yearning for peace. The common citizen wants peace and development, and that is the direction on which the entire apparatus of the Union Territory is moving. And the concerns are still there, but with the type of approach which the government has adopted, those elements are being tackled, and they need to be tackled and kept on radar so that they don't come up. The efforts of Pakistan will continue to disrupt the peace, but we have to be very careful on that account.
Okay, all right. I'll come back to you in just a moment, sir. Major General Dhruv Katoch also with us. Major General Katoch, just from your perspective, as you have now seen what has been happening in Jammu and Kashmir over the past many decades, if you were to make a comparison of what has happened in the last 10 years as far as the valley is concerned, and strictly from your own opinion and perspective, how do you view the change, sir?
Thank you. I think, very frankly, the change which has taken place, it started first with the demonetization, and secondly with the abrogation of certain portions of Article 370, when they were made inoperative. Now, I think it's very important to understand certain fundamental issues as to why there was terrorism and insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir. Everybody knows it was externally sponsored by Pakistan, and Pakistan still continues to do so. That is part one. But secondly, internally, within the local political parties of Jammu and Kashmir, they had a stake in that terrorism. So if any solution had to be found to the problem, I had stated many, many years ago, it could only be found if Article 370 was abrogated. Without that, nothing could move because there were very strong linkages which had developed between the local political groups and the Pakistan's ISI. So I think what has really happened fundamentally in the last 5 years, I would say specifically in the last 5 years, is that those linkages which I was talking about, have been broken to a very large extent. Then the financial aspects, the financial wherewithal for these groups, that has come down considerably. Thirdly, the coordination between the security forces, all of them, and the civil administration together, I think has been tremendous, which has put a lid on violence. Now, people ask me, why is it that violence still continues? The point is, violence will never end. It is a process. But major things have ended. You see, stone pelting has ended. There is a hope now in the people for peace, which was not there earlier. And the number of incidences also of violence have come down. The point is not that Article 370 was a panacea that, okay, we have removed it and now there will be peace and a golden era. That was simply the start point. Without that start point, nothing could have happened. That start point took place. That has allowed now the administration to function. The security forces are on the job. Importantly, the administration is much more functional now. The administration, unfortunately, had been compromised for the last 3 decades. The process is on now to set it right. When you consider all these things, it is my assessment now that Jammu and Kashmir will be perhaps the most, as of now it is a union territory, it will get statehood. It will be the most peaceful state or one of the most peaceful states in India, and we are moving towards that direction. That has been made possible by the policies which have been followed over the last 5 years. Back to you.
Okay. All right. I'm bringing Amit Raina into the conversation at this point in time. Amit, you have, of course, have very close linkages to Jammu and Kashmir. What has been your assessment as far as the change on ground is concerned and the change in the minds of people is concerned? If you can share that with us. And do you feel that somewhere the change was circumstantial, that it was bound to happen at this point in time? Or do you feel that, yes, a major role was played by the current Prime Minister, by Narendra Modi in bringing this change about, that it had nothing to do really with anything except political will?
Undoubtedly, this change was not possible without the political will. And it would have not been possible if Prime Minister Modi had not taken those firm steps. And that is what changed the situation in the valley. Now, being a child, having seen from my childhood days Kashmir, and for last 40 years, I think this is only the first time that we have seen 4 years of continuous period where we have not seen any stone pelting incidents, we have not seen Bandh, we have not seen arson, we have not seen riots, we have not seen loss of education days. And I'm even talking about pre-90 days, from 86 onwards, when there was a riot instigated against Hindus of Kashmir, especially in South Kashmir. I have seen almost every year, every month from 86 onwards, when stone pelting, Bandh calls were common. Subsequently, from 89 onwards, the attack on minorities, the killing of minorities started. But 86 onwards, Kashmir had started seeing the turbulent times. And by 1890, it had attained the peak. So in last 4 years, what we have seen is a humongous change, which I don't think would have been possible without the political will of Prime Minister Modi. And what are the situations we have seen on the ground that change? We have seen a number of tourists increasing manifold. Now that can happen only if 150 crore population of this country wants to go to Kashmir today, and we see 5 times increase in the number of tourists. That tells you the faith of the people in the government of India on how the situation has improved. It tells you that people now believe and know the situation in Jammu and Kashmir is improved. We have seen zero loss of education days in last 4 years, which is a big boon for education for children who had always used to. Suffer on the quality of education, on their understanding of rest of the world, because of the loss of school days, because of the loss of going to school. We have seen parents now not worrying कि मेरा बच्चा स्कूल गया है, खुदा ना खास्ता कोई पत्थरबाजी ना हो जाए, कोई आतंकवादी घटना ना हो जाए, कहीं स्कूल ना जल जाए. We have I have seen Kashmir prior to 2019 where by 6:37 streets were empty. And if I was on the road, you could hear a horn of the car 3 kilometers away. Itna sunsan hota tha. Today, especially in Srinagar, in Baramulla, in Anantnag, the district headquarters, which are towns and cities, you can see people out on the roads till 12 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock. So life has changed. The quality of life for the people has changed. There's happiness index has gone up. Number of tourists visiting helps. Not only helps the livelihood of the people who are related to tourism, it also increases the earning potential of allied industries, the handicraft, the horticulture, the transportation. So everyone benefits from the peace, everyone has benefited from the peace, and everyone is now prospering. And you can see people today do not, this is the first time an election in last 40 years which has not seen any boycott call. And this is probably the first time you will see probably a record-breaking number when it comes to polling in last 40 years.
Okay, Amit, I'll come back to you in just a moment. Sumit Peer also with us on the broadcast. Sumit, I want to understand from you, how has the conversation then around Jammu and Kashmir changed in the past decade? And keeping some large numbers of, this many lakh crores and that many lakh crores aside brought into this union territory, when you speak to people on the ground, is there, do you feel that somewhere people are also trying to move away from being a very tourism-centric economy towards exploring other avenues as well, which are only possible when day-to-day life, when regular day-to-day life can continue, can go on?
Thank you for having me on your show. You see, the problem here is there was a notion that in Kashmir, ISI and Pakistan will decide the things, and whatever they decide, that will happen, right? That was the notion we had. Now, if I'll be very candid here, if it was not Prime Minister Modi today, would we have Kashmir in the form we have it, or will it be a part of India or not? I don't know. I'm not speculating it could have gone other way. I don't know. It could have gone far worse than what we can imagine now. Now, we are given a position where things were deteriorating you were down the hill at a rapid pace. You have to stop the deterioration, you have to stop that moving block, and you have to pull it up back the hill. It's a 3-stage process. Now, the Kashmir, what we talk today, first of all, it's a peaceful place. It has 165 crore tourists which visited, 165 crore tourists, which 1.65 crore tourists which visited, which is highest since independence. Here, the investments in Kashmir from the Middle Eastern countries have been highest. We are not talking to Pakistan. It is okay with the whole world. Nobody is pushing us to talk to Pakistan. We are not letting any designs of ISI or Jamaat or this Hurriyat and all to happen, to take place there in Devkaji, which is completely open. We are letting the Kashmir to be united with the whole of India. We have got rid of 370. It's completely, people are okay with it. There were no khoon ki nadiya, tirange ko, kanda dene wala koi nahi. Remember Mehbooba Mufti? And do you remember the people went to this Gupkar gang, we will talk to China. No, but now go and talk to Pakistan, go and talk to China. It's not going to help you. So that notion, that myth, that was broken. And people thought, oh, you cannot touch 370. Bhai, Hindustan mein aag lag jayegi. Pura ummah aap pe toot padega. So those things were shattered. Now, without political will, Prime Minister Modi could not have done this. You have to stop the block. You have to take up the block to, stop the decline, arrest the decline, stop it and take it up to the mountain peak. So what are we talking today? We are talking today. Now, picture halls are open and they are running houseful. We are talking today. We covered on the New Year's Day. There were people out in Dal Lake and in Lal Chowk up to 12 o'clock.
We are talking of highest number of people going to Amarnath Yatra. We are talking of highest number of tourists going there. We are talking of investments from the Middle East coming there. We are talking there when the people are talking of, when people are talking of freedom, they are talking of getting with the India. We are talking of the railway link is built there, which was not built there. We are talking of those all-weather tunnels which were not built there. We are talking of the fabulous roads which were not built there. Earlier, the money used to go there definitely, but that used to go to loot and plunder of the local politicians. Now, what the people are seeing under Prime Minister Modi, पैसा तो आया, पर पैसा कहाँ लगा वो दिखा. Pehle the money used to come, but it used to disappear somewhere. But they would never used to see where the money got implemented. Now that money getting implemented is what has mattered. The Modi ki guarantee on the ground has worked. And Modi ki guarantee, I'll do this, and I'll do it within 5 years. So Prime Minister Modi delivered this. And all those elements who were anti-India, who were anti, government and all, they were taken to task, including the family of Salahuddin, including the family of some Bitakarate and others who were in government jobs and all. They were shown their place, his sons. Now, for the first time under UAPA, you are attaching the properties. No, and the people are not objective. They are okay with it. You're freed the land from more than 2 lakh hectares of encroachment, which was there. That has been freed government land. The Roshni scam or the scam, which was to encircle the Jammu and change the demographics of Jammu, that has been done. People of Jammu are happy with it. Now with Ladakhis, they've got a UT, they're happy. For the first time, they have a say and they are talking in the scheme of things. We are talking for election there. We are talking of a visible BJP cadre there. We are talking of people carrying saffron flags and saying Modi ji ki jai or whatever. These things were unthinkable there. They were simply out of the realms of your imagination. You could not do this there. You have to only carry a Jamaiti flag, a green flag, and Pakistan Zindabad. That is what Kashmir was about. This transformation of hearts and minds, this possibility of being seen on the ground is what Prime Minister Modi has changed. And this has changed with the consent of people. No hartal, what Amit ji rightly said, no bandh, no education days lost, no drama, nothing, no geopolitical tension. Right. And the most important thing you said, India can move on with or without talking to Pakistan. This was a notion which was there for 70 years. By Pakistan se baat karni, warna kuch nahi hoga. We have proved the world India has developed leaps and bounds. Kashmir has developed leaps and bounds, and we don't give a damn to Pakistan. That is the most important point.
Okay, all right. Bringing Mr. Kuldeep Khoda back into the conversation. Mr. Khoda, I'd just like to understand from you, how crucial was it to then get rid of the fear psychosis from the minds of the people as part of changing the larger landscape of Jammu and Kashmir? And how much do you feel that the government has managed to achieve that?
Fear psychosis linked with the terrorism incidents. If killings happen, the fear psychosis automatically creeps in. And with the increasing number of incidents, the psychosis goes up, insecurity levels go up. Now that element having been taken care of, the fear psychosis has automatically more or less vanished. The resumption of normal activities is visible now, as other speakers just mentioned. But that does not mean that we are completely over the hump and the challenges are finished. Challenges are still there. Pakistan is in internal turmoil. Once some sort of normalcy returns to Pakistan and the political stability restores to some extent, the government there and the ISI and the military establishment in Pakistan, they are bound to try and resume their nefarious activities in Kashmir. They will try to push in the infiltrators. So the challenges are there in various forms. And the separatist elements, which is lying low and which is most of them are in the jails. And at some point of time, they're going to come out. That is again a challenge, how to keep them in check. And of course, more than that, the type of incentives which government has given in the form of the industrial policy, that's one of the best policies ever given to J&K. But that policy has to be backed by development of infrastructure on ground. The power supplies, the road, communication, all those things, the policy is very attractive, but why the entrepreneurs are not coming in large numbers from all over the country and from outside also? That's mainly because the basic requirements of a booming this industry is still under development, and at the pace at which it's going on, it may take a relatively longer time. I think we need to push that up and to ensure that the entrepreneurs who want to come and who want to create development here, who want to create jobs here, they are facilitated in a big way. And then beyond that, the fundamentalism has to be tackled in a manner so that it does not re-emerge again. For that purpose, the role of educational institutions is very important. The curriculum of madrasas which are there, that needs to be kept under check, and it needs to be ensured as to what's being taught there. And it's not only that the curriculum on paper is checked, it is the actual ground level report as to what actually is happening at places where the fundamental, which are the centers of fundamentalism, which have been centers of fundamentalism in the past, they need to be kept under check. The effort has to continue. We need not lower our guards. Otherwise, the elements which are vanishing from the ground, they can re-emerge. And especially as long as Pakistan's designs are there, they will try to create a situation again back to where it was. So the effort of people, the support of people in restoration of normalcy has to be taken forward very cautiously, but very, very forcefully also.
Okay, all right. Bringing Amit back into the conversation. Amit, then what do you feel perhaps need to be the next steps as far as Mr. Khora was also pointing out, bringing people into the valley? Yes, there has been a sea change as we've also discussed earlier, but as far as entrepreneurship is concerned and getting rid of being largely dependent on tourism as income, what do you think then needs to be the next step in terms of changing further the narrative around Jammu and Kashmir?
See, I agree with DGP Saab that there are external players who will continue to influence the situation in Kashmir. One definitely is Pakistan, and one needs to understand that Pakistan's deep state existence is on Kashmir. So they are under chaos right now. They have their own problems, but once there little bit of stability comes back to Pakistan, they will refocus on Kashmir. So that concern will always stay till Pakistan as a state exists. Second is the fanatism and fundamentalism. One needs to understand it is not only the fear psychosis we're talking about. It is not only the terror killings or the killings by terrorists which creates fear psychosis. The separatist network, the fundamentalist network also creates fear through social network. They use the social orchestration, they use the social threats to create the fear psychosis. So if a common man who was to live in the society then gets influenced and gets into worry and fear because of this social network being used against him. So this also is seen by industries which want to invest in Kashmir. So the concern of that this thing may re-emerge and the root causes of that, till they are not eradicated, that concern will always stay. And the biggest problem or the biggest root cause, see, Pakistan has been successful in Kashmir because there was a local support. The local support was because of a certain religious mindset. So unless and until you're not able to tackle that religious mindset, which favors a jihad against this country, where you are not able to work on that mindset and make him understand how he's reading his religion wrong or how what he's reading is wrong, things will not improve. It has a potential of coming back. So one has to work on that at ground level to ensure. Now, whether education will do that trick, whether moving people. See, other thing in Kashmir is that it's a 99.5% population of a single community. So that community does not understand the benefits of a cosmopolitan society. So how do you show them the benefits of a cosmopolitan society? Probably one, by ensuring that the Kashmiri Pandits who have been out for now 35 years are moved back. And how do you move them back? You have to also give a sense of security to Kashmiri Pandits that they will be the victim of genocide or exodus or ethnic cleansing again. So you have to create a separate conclave from them where you not only settle Kashmiri Pandits, you also bring in people from rest of India and create a smart city network within Kashmir and show the benefits of that cosmopolitan living, the knowledge transfer which rest of the India will bring in, and how they can develop economically and educationally on that front. So there has to be work to be done on multiple levels. It is not only getting terrorism under control and ensuring Pakistan's infiltration is under control. If we want to have a peaceful Jammu and Kashmir, multiple work needs to be done at multiple level. First and foremost is creating an enclave where you get back Indians from rest of India to settle down there.
Right. Okay. Absolutely. Major and Dhruv Katoch, I leave the last word with you, sir. As far as the next steps are now concerned, what do you think needs to be the priority of the government for Jammu and Kashmir?
Very frankly, I think if you really want the confidence to develop, the Hindus have to be brought back, the people who are displaced. That is the most important step, because that is the one which will give a signal to the rest of the country and the rest of the world that things have become normal now. How that is to be done is a work in progress, but I think that is a very essential process. Number two, the people who were responsible for the genocide, I think they need to be tried. That will bring closure. Otherwise, there will never be closure. So at some point of time, all those people who were responsible, especially the politicians, they have to be brought, tried, charged, and put behind bars for their role in the genocide.
Right.
Thirdly, I think the administration has to buck up. You see, for a very long, I'm talking about the local administration. Now, the local administration over the last 30 years has been compromised to a very large extent. That weeding out process is taking place. That is a work in progress. But unless that happens completely, the possibility of a comeback is there. Otherwise, the action which has been taken now as far as financials are concerned, security is concerned, development is concerned, is an ongoing process. The radicalization, that I think is a very important aspect. And that is going to take at least 5 to 10 years, if not more, to get those ideas out of the minds of the small children. And over a decade or so may be required to carry out that. It is a work in progress. It is going to take time. But I think we are on the path. We are on the right path. We are moving correctly. And through the efforts of the Prime Minister and his cabinet and the people of India, we are going to win.
Right, absolutely. That's all the time that I have on this special episode of the Modi Diaries. I thank all of our panelists for joining us to take the conversation forward.